Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Rundown. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, talking with you about 2A news and conservative views. I'm coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. But as we all know, I do not do this program by myself.
Nope, my name is Mike Wachowski, and I come to you live from the East Coast. That's the coast with the most from the co-host with the most here on The Rundown, 2A News, Conservative Views. Craig, it is... Today is a very special day of the week, is it not?
Once again, yes, it is. It is Hope Day.
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
It's Hump Day.
Hump Day.
It's Hump Day.
Hump Day.
Woo woo! That's right, folks. Today is the day where we attempt to begin the weekend. And which is kind of interesting because normally it would be in the middle of the week, but for the show, it's the beginning of the week, and yet it's the weekend.
It is. Yeah, normally we would be here, like you said, we'd be here on Mondays, right? But Monday was the holiday. Tuesday turned out to be the extended holiday. We'll get into that. So here we are on Wednesday. So we're starting our week on the end of our weekday where we like to start our weekend. So I love it. I love starting the weekend on the day we come to work. That's awesome.
That is beyond awesome. So in any case, folks, hey, however you're paying attention to the show, however you're watching or listening, please take a moment, like, share, subscribe, if you haven't already done so. If you're watching us on Facebook or on YouTube, make sure you hit that notification button. That way you'll be notified as soon as we go live. You can participate in the live chat as the program is taking place. But also encourage your friends. Let them know, hey, if you don't have time to watch us, you can also listen to us wherever you get your podcast. But whatever you're doing, make sure you're checking out The Rundown.
Do it right here. Do it right here every day. All
right, so Mikey, tell me, how was the extended holiday weekend?
Woo! It you and I planned. We had it worked out. We're coming back together to do regular showtime, and I got caught doing a little extra flying. We got a little extra activity going on yesterday with multiple aircraft doing some fun in the air, some training. You got caught out on a bike path or something like that. So we, by the time we both realized what time it was like, oh crap! We were both rushing back trying to get to the studio and realized it wasn't going to happen.
Wasn't going to happen. Just was not. I had to work off all those extra calories that I consumed during the 4th of July. So where we go, we get together with some extended family, and there's always a rib cook-off. And needless to say, I have to taste every single rib. And doggy. Let me just say, it was some good eating.
There you go. That's good stuff. Yeah, it was just one of those days that safely we did not bring it to you. We have like most professionals, right? We have what we call a show in the can. All right. And we call it's an evergreen show, which means it's always topical. There's nothing designed for the show is airing today because of the news that broke, but everything that happened over the weekend, we were like, we can't air that one on Tuesday.
No.
We can't. We could have plugged it in, made you think we were ignorant of all the happenings that had gone on and just watch us for an hour. But no, we couldn't do it. So we're like, nope.
Entirely too much stuff. We did not want to insult your intelligence in that way.
Yep. So leave it. We'd rather not show it than get on there and look like, what are these guys talking about? Didn't they see the news?
Do they not know what's going on in the world?
Yeah.
So with that, let's get into a little bit of that.
Let's do it.
So clearly a lot went on during the July 4th weekend. Now, mind you, it was more like a regular weekend in Chicago, with the exception of including, a guy who decided he was going to shoot at a parade from a rooftop. But there were shootings all over the United States this past week. In fact, according to Axios, there were more than a dozen mass shootings over the weekend. Now, mind you, mass shootings as a whole are considered anytime 4 or more people are shot, it's considered a mass shooting. That doesn't necessarily mean it has anything to do with the reason why, because even most mass shootings are drug or gang related. which I think in earnest, once we do a little bit of research, we're going to find that such was the case with the majority of these July 4th shootings. But we do know that there were several that were very, very high profile that occurred over the weekend. And, Mike, it never ceased to amaze me how everyone in the media and everyone on the left proceeded to blame concealed carry permit holders for the shootings that took place over the holiday weekend.
The one in is it Hyde Park? Is that the one outside Chicago?
Yeah.
Was that the name of it?
Yes.
This is the village of Hyde Park. There has actually have an assault weapon ban. If you remember this out of Illinois, it went to the state Supreme Court. It got denied. It got brought back. So they have an assault weapon ban there in Hyde Park. It was an AR-15 rifle that was used, or style rifle that was used in this shooting. Yet they still continue to blame concealed weapons. I don't know how this happens. They have a concealed weapons ban in place. Excuse me. They have an assault weapon ban in place. An assault weapon was used, yet it was a concealed handgun was at fault. I don't know how that math works out at all, Craig. But they won't even talk about the evil assault weapon because they had a ban in place.
But now here's another case though with an individual who had already threatened to kill family members, who threatened to kill himself, was such a threat that the police came and they confiscated a bunch of his knives. And by the way, they have red flag laws there in Illinois. They have a red flag law. So the question is, if this law is supposed to stop these things from happening, why did it not work? Because in the end, Mike, people who want to harm people, they're not going to follow the law to do it because the very thing that they want to do is against the law.
Well, no, don't forget, Craig, this guy went and bought that rifle.
Yes.
Went and bought that rifle. So he's already had police contact. He's already had police seize dangerous weapons from him. Yet nobody thought, hey, maybe we should put this guy on the ban list right now. Maybe we should, we got the orders to seize weapons from him. Maybe we should not allow him to purchase any firearms. This is the same thing we saw happen in Parkland. This is the same thing we saw happen with Pulse. This is a colossal failure of your government to protect you.
Don't forget Buffalo. Right? Don't forget Buffalo. Same thing happened in Buffalo.
Don't forget Buffalo. Yep.
And by the way, Mike, let's not. Now we can also look back to the two shootings in Sacramento. Were both by people who should have been in police custody. We know this for a fact. Neither one of them should have been out. One of them was released early from jail after he had a 10-year sentence. He was released. He didn't even serve 4.5. The other one was released from police custody. He was arrested for assaulting a California highway patrolman. He was released from police custody because they didn't want to notify ICE that he was here. Because, by the way, he was here illegally. They didn't want to notify ICE so ICE could come pick him up. But it's the gun's fault.
Yeah. Yep. This is again the failure of your local, state, and federal government to protect you when they had everything in front of them. But it's the gun's fault. So we're going to take the guns away from those that lawfully carry as well.
Right. I mean, let's look here. I just want to show these to folks. So look, you have you have what happened there in Illinois. You have a shooting in Minneapolis, Minnesota. You had one that happened in New York City. Get a rope. You had one in Kenosha, Boston, Kansas City, Sacramento, California, Kansas City, Missouri, Richmond, Virginia, Buffalo. Did
you say they had one in Kenosha?
Yes, there was one in Kenosha. Shooting in Kenosha resulted in the death of at least one person and injuries of 4 others, and another shooting in Sacramento, California.
If they had one in Kenosha, I guess Kyle must have been out of town.
Yeah, Kyle must have been out of town. But I mean, all of these places are all liberal cities. Now, my question is, maybe, Mike, what we need instead of gun control is liberal control.
Oh, we'd have to build walls like you wouldn't believe.
Oh yeah,
we'd have to just build these giant walls and make them in a circle and make them 30 feet high, and that's it. Just build them, but just pop them in there. Just bloop, bloop.
Right.
And then you come to the door every once in a while, and you open it up. You go, "Hey, who's your president?" Not Trump. You go back inside. Back inside.
You're
Still
stuck.
suffering.
You're
You're
stuck
still
there.
suffering from the TDS. Go back inside. Go back
Yeah.
inside. Who's your president? Whoever was duly elected. Okay, come on out. You can come out. We'll let you try again.
There you go.
But all you TDS sufferers, go back inside.
Right. But anyway, but that just goes to show you. And you know, Mike, then on top of it, so then what you've got on, so now you've got that happening. And because, well, you know, guns, now you've got blue states that have pretty much decided that they are going to thumb their nose at the Supreme Court and at the Second Amendment. They basically decided, well, tell you what we're going to do. We're going to ignore all of you people, and we're just going to come and pass all these laws. Now, I tried to pick one story to focus on, but there are so many new gun laws. Here you have California. Gavin Mussolini just signed two more. They call them gun safety laws. Neither one of them will make anyone safer. You have Phil Murphy of New Jersey signed 7 new bills. You have New York Democrats pass new gun laws in response to the Supreme Court ruling, and we've already talked about that one. It pretty much makes almost the entire island of New York a gun-free zone. You've got the federal bill that was passed, and that one pissed me off because that was supported by some Republicans who, if they get reelected, I will question the patriotism of any Republican who votes for them. I'm sorry, but you vote for these Republicans, you vote to put them back in office. You are part of the problem. But yeah, so it's, Mike, they have pretty much declared war, not on the Second Amendment. They pretty much just said, yeah, no, we're going to ignore the Supreme Court. Now, especially the law in New York, where they make basically every place a sensitive place, and they're about to do the same thing in California. When you read the opinion, it specifically, now was more talking about their good cause law, was really about sensitive places, but
Correct.
So they spoke to the idea of sensitive places, and they talked about how there's got to be some sort of a history behind supporting a place as a sensitive place, like a school or a courthouse,
Yes.
or a government building where you know, decisions by government are made. But there's got to be a history behind it. But they just went and just said, yeah, no, pretty much. I mean, every public park.
Let's be clear on the history part. Let me be clear,
Yes.
clear on the history part, what that means. And that means history to that state. Okay, that's just what they're talking about. So, Craig, I'm in Florida. In Florida, I cannot have a firearm in a bar that primarily serves alcohol. I cannot have a firearm in the emergency room of a hospital. Okay, and those have traditionally been places in Florida. Just odd little places where you can't have a firearm. I go up the road here to Georgia. Georgia doesn't have those restrictions. Georgia doesn't have the restrictions in a bar. Doesn't have restrictions in a hospital. So there's certain facilities that are different. That's why we tell you when you travel to check each state's facilities. So the reason we bring this up, the history of it is New York has never had the protection of those kinds of places. They've had protection of federal buildings, courthouses, jails, prisons. That's it. That's really the only thing they've ever had protection of or extra laws against. So New York has now come down and said basically everything in Manhattan is a sensitive item. Now Judge Thomas said that you cannot make the entire island a sensitive item or sensitive location.
Right.
Well, Greg, I think they left 12 square feet of Manhattan that's not a sensitive place.
Well, and those 12 square feet can become a sensitive place if people, doesn't say how many, decide to gather and protest.
Yeah, you can
if two people gather and and exercise their right to protest, you are now in a sensitive place.
So listen to what they did, folks. So you got the island of Manhattan. Remember, Manhattan's an island. It really is. It's an island. And you can only get to this island if you come across a bridge, a tunnel, or if you get there by air, by airplane, helicopter, boat. You can come there by train. You can come there by public transportation. All of those things I just listed, by the way, are now sensitive places. So they've basically taken the island and said, oh, I can't make the whole island a sensitive place, but getting in and out I can. So they've effectively sealed it off.
Well, but
And
here's the interesting part
they
is
immediately violated the judge's order.
what I read was what doesn't allow you to possess a weapon. I didn't even hear that you could if now I once again correct me if I am wrong. How are you supposed to transport it anywhere if you cannot even be in possession of it? Is there something in there saying if you're transporting it in a locked case, unloaded with the ammunition? Is there any of that in the bill?
No, remember, and that's the original reason for this suit.
Right.
Remember, they were not allowed to remove the firearm from the city because the city doesn't have any public ranges.
Right.
So they're back to where we started.
Right. And in the end, once again, when you read the language of the opinion, the point of it is you cannot pass laws that will prohibit reasonable people, law-abiding people, from being able to exercise their right. And that's what's happening here. That's exactly what this law does. It makes it so that no, you can't. And what was funny was worse was you had the governor, who pretty much said when they asked, a reporter asked, do you have any numbers that show that concealed carry permit holders are committers or are committing these crimes? And she said, I don't need the numbers. I don't need the numbers. I just need to know that it'll make my people safe. I'm like, you kind of do need the numbers.
Well, they're idiot anti-gunners is what we are. And yeah, right. I said idiot. That's what they are, idiots. If you refuse to look at facts, you're a moron. That's all. Right. And I'm talking real facts. I'm not talking every town for gun safety, Mother Jones, crazy moms against everything kind of facts. I'm talking real facts, things that come from people that study these things, people that work on this day and night, to find you actual facts. You want facts? You want numbers? Let's go simply to facts that can't be disputed and can't be interpreted. Let's go to Chicago, Craig, and take a look at the number killed there, the number of shootings there. There's no disputing those facts, but they continue to ignore those. We had a shooting right outside of Chicago, but let's ignore what's going on inside the city of Chicago because no one cares what poor criminal young felons do because they can't vote. So if 16 people want to kill themselves this weekend alone in Chicago, who cares? We don't care that 7 died 10 miles away. Right. Or we care that 7 died 10 miles away because that was in a more affluent neighborhood as opposed to the city of Chicago where no one gives a crap. I'm sorry if a young black guy dies. It's not a big deal to them.
No, they don't really care. Anyway. They don't really care. No. But what they do care about is they do care about them abortion. They want to make sure that they can keep the ability to kill children, in particular, if it is a young black child in the womb. They do want to make sure that they keep that available to them. And you've got states, once again, like California and New York, who have pretty much declared war on Dobbs, which is the decision that basically said, look, abortion is not a constitutional right. It is not illegal, but it's not for us, the Supreme Court, to make a decision on this because it's not enshrined in the Constitution anywhere. So guess what? We're going to return that right to you, the people, and let the people of the states decide how you want to handle, regulate, or not regulate abortion.
Yeah, and even then we were seeing states push back, right? Florida just had, we have a 15-week abortion ban here. So we had a judge say, no, that's illegal. We had in Louisiana, I think we previously mentioned this one, where they had a trigger law, and once the trigger law went into effect, a judge came out and said, "No, I don't believe in abortion." So, and again, clear violation of what the Supreme Court just said under Dobbs. These people, Craig, and those that have violated the Second Amendment ruling that's come out, the marshals should be coming from the Supreme Court with subpoenas and warrants and putting all of these judges and all of these attorneys and all of these these politicians in cuffs and bringing them before the Supreme Court to stand for their contempt sentences. This is an absolute. They've intended to break the law. All right, the Supreme Court's the final word. That's it. All right, they've intended to break the law. They should be brought before the court to receive their sentences. But no, Craig, they're protected by total immunity rather than qualified immunity.
Yeah, something's got to be done when you know you're violating the law. And because when you read both of these decisions, whether it's Dobbs or whether it's New York Pistol v. Bruin, they made it very clear what they were doing, and they realized and they knew that some lower courts were going to try and ignore them. And they made it very, very obvious, it made it very clear that you are not going to get away with ignoring us. But the problem is you also have the media and you have politicians who are flat out lying. I mean, just not even, I'm not even going to act like they are so stupid that they don't understand. No, they don't care is what the point is. That's what gets me, is that they don't care, and they will lie, and they will lie, and they will lie. And I just want to see, once again, when you decide that you are going to violate the Constitution, you didn't see people on the right acting like this when it came to, and by the way, not only are they doing this, not only are they just lying, but then you've got people out in the streets who are attacking police officers, who are rioting in the streets. And you notice the media is hardly covering any of it, right? It may be the fourth or fifth story, but you've got people in Portland, people in San Francisco, people in major cities across the country, once again, rioting in the streets and attacking law enforcement and government buildings, and nobody is saying anything.
No, because listen, it's not the media's agenda. The media takes their marching orders from the liberals, from the left. And remember, Craig, this is not like old news style. Everybody's sitting around on the floor writing stories. 90% of everybody that writes a story today is a contract reporter. All right, so they bring the stories to the news organization, and if it's not anti-right, pro-liberal, then the story doesn't get printed. It's the liberal media. You and I are part of that 10%, that reports the conservative news, and we're left sitting out in the cold. All right, they're the ones that have the big money sponsorships that have newspapers and advertising and TV and news broadcasts.
Well, yeah, and it's, once again, if you go and you look, when you look up riots, the only thing that shows up is January 6th. But when you go and you look up protests, all of a sudden now you've got once again it's important to fight. U.S. cities erupt in protest as Roe v. Wade falls. Right now, all of a sudden you start seeing Portland, Los Angeles, Oakland, Greensville, South Carolina. All of a sudden, they call them protests, I'm like, okay, so if police officers are injured, right? If in the midst of this happening, protesters are injured, right? Police officers are injured or police officers are attacked, that's not a protest, that's a riot.
Correct. Yeah.
Right? If they're throwing stuff at police cars, that's not a protest, that's a riot. But they don't call it that because, well, that would make their side look bad.
You're exactly right. Yeah. Remember, this is it's mostly peaceful.
Mostly peaceful protests.
Mostly peaceful. Yeah.
All right. Now this next story, we're gonna have a good time with this one. So there was a organization, a government group, county health group that they were supposed to have a meeting. They had a meeting scheduled, right? And they decided to put off the meeting. And as they decided to put off the meeting, the reason that was given for putting off the meeting, well, was because, here it says, Oregon health officials delayed a meeting because urgency is a white supremacy value. So just reading the story real quick, the Oregon Health Authority is a government agency that coordinates medical care and social well-being in the Beaver State. During the pandemic, OHA was responsible for coordinating organizations' vaccination drive and disseminating information about COVID-19, both vital tasks. Now, the agency's Office for Equity and Inclusion, however, prefers not to rush business of government. In fact, the office's program manager delayed a meeting with partner organizations on the stated grounds that urgency is a white supremacy value. Mike?
Yes, I'm reading some of the comments here. And they've even asked, please educate me on what the state means by urgency is a white supremacy value. I would love to know how this gets in the way of the work there at the council. Struggled all morning with how to communicate the reason for the postponement. This is, Craig. So I guess if first off, if I'm on time, if I'm attentive, I'm responsive.
You're racist.
Yeah, I'm racist now. And not only am I a racist, but I'm a supremacist. All right.
Right.
I went from white to white racist to white supremacist because I got to work on time.
Right.
Or school on time, or my meeting on time, whatever it happens to be. Because I'm on time, I'm now a white supremacist. So, Craig, does this mean now if you're late to work, we could call you a racial word? Is that, can we say that?
No.
Oh, that guy's just a shifty.
It means that I am. It means that I have not. I have not internalized the white supremacy that you have attempted to foist upon me.
Oh, you mean that? You mean after we brought you over here in chains,
right?
And
right.
Forced our ways upon you. Oh, I get it. Oh, I didn't realize it went back to that. I didn't realize this was a slavery thing, Craig.
The fact that you demand me to be on time. Is just
I got
racist.
some property out here I want to sign over to you, and I got some mules.
about 40 acres?
Yeah, about 40 acres and a couple of mules for you. I apologize that you were late, sir. I apologize.
This is incredulous because I'm like, first of all, keep in mind that when you go to, and it's funny because there's an African American History Museum that's organized by the Smithsonian. And if you go in there, there's actually, and you can actually go online and find this too. There's actually, when they talk about whiteness and the culture of whiteness, there are many things there. Like, for example, belief in hard work belief in hard work getting you ahead. That's considered white supremacist. Being organized, scientific or logical critical thinking is considered to be white culture. Now, they consider it white supremacy if you are advancing these ideas. So, in other words, if getting good grades, that's white culture. Being on time, that's white culture. Thinking logically, that's white culture. Believing that if I work hard, that's white culture. And if you are promoting those, then you are considered a white supremacist. And if you are a person of color, well, that means that you have internalized the racism. And I just, for the life of me, I'm like, how in God's name have we come to let this happen? I keep going back to that scripture where it says in the end times, it says you call good evil and evil good. That's where we are.
I don't know if you're familiar with it. Have you ever heard of Cuban time?
Cuban time is it anything like BP time?
No. It's, so on the East Coast, down South Florida, and especially in Cuba, but there's a very large population of Cubans in South Florida. Cuban time. Now, the whole island of Cuba, because it's an isolated island, obviously via politics now. But Cuban time. Cuban time is like if I tell you 9 a.m., that probably means about 9:20, 9:30. And I worked in the local governments down there in South Florida, which were predominantly Cuban influenced, and so we would know a 9 o'clock meeting meant 9:15 or 9:20. It was Cuban time, but it was their culture. It was the Cuban culture from the island of Cuba. So that was their thing. Everybody knew that was their thing, and doing a little history research on that. Just to kind of bring this back around, Craig. The Cubans did that because they worked with all of the other Central and South American cultures, right?
Right.
And the Cubans. Their belief, and you look back at their lineage, they are the proper Castilian descendants from Spain. Right. So they believe they are the highest level of Spanish in Central and South America. So they would tell everyone else the meeting is at 9, and they would show up at 9:15 or 9:20 to let all the other Hispanic populations know that the Cuban population was more important, and we'll show up when we want to let you know we're boss. So it was a policy that was confused in racism, and then it just turned out to be prejudice. So it's actually okay because it's prejudice, not racist. Yeah.
Right. There you go. Anyway, folks, this is the insanity that has now infected government. It's infected our educational system. when you hear people who are fighting against it, this is the sort of stupidity. When they say that stuff like this is not being taught in schools or it's not being perpetuated in government, it's all just a legal theory, they're lying to you because it's everywhere.
Yep.
Moving right along, folks, we have a number of parting shots for you today. We're gonna kind of rifle right through them. Because it was Independence Day, there were a bunch of items that we wanted to make sure to hit. Let's start with this first one. You want to go ahead and read this one for the folks?
America is great because when the entire world tried to bully them into using the metric system, they said sure and proceeded to only use it for bullets.
Yes.
Yeah, baby.
That is America right there. That is America right there. Which I still
Metric
don't understand
system.
why we don't use the metric system. Because it
we
just
have
seems to make more
American
sense.
flags on the moon. That's why.
Because
we have
what?
6 American flags. Because we have 6 American flags on the moon. That's why we don't use it.
Well, we better keep an eye on those flags because I think the Chinese are heading up there to take our spot.
When they
All
get
right.
there, we'll have a conversation. Until then,
Right.
no metric system. That's just the way it is.
All right. I think this next one actually puts the fight for independence and Independence Day in a proper perspective. And here you got George Washington with a flag bandana on, and it says the founding fathers were not career politicians. They were the outlaws, the angry extremists who refused to quietly submit to an elite political establishment's oppressive rule over their lives. Never forget that. I think that is a missed point that people just don't seem to get. That, literally they were the outlaws. They were the people who, like us, who were very frustrated with a government that seemed ever more out of control and not listening to the people. And were violating their fundamental human rights. And that's what I see happening right now with our government. I'm not saying it's time for another war for independence. I'm just saying, you guys, on the right track, wrong track thing, y'all are on the wrong track, Democrats.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
And speaking of being on the wrong track, you'll love this one. Dun dun dun. Merry 4th of Father's Day with Joe
That's
Biden.
President right there.
With Biden president in his little Uncle Sam hat.
Merry 4th of Father's Day.
That guy is truly an embarrassment.
Oh yeah, come on. It's getting too easy now. Now it's like punching a baby.
It
it's
is.
just like you almost feel bad for making fun of him. All I can do is continue to point out the signs of his senility and the Alzheimer's, and hope that some rogue doctor actually treats him for it.
Exactly. All right, here's another one for our Second Amendment advocates, but also is in honor of our independence. The face they make when they try to take your guns. And there's a bunch of redcoats sprawled out on the grass.
Yep.
That is kind of how it works, folks, just so you know. Okay. Another Joe Biden friendly one. Happy Recession 2022.
There you go.
Yeah,
Happy
with a bunch
recession.
of circles over there, which means it's probably going to go over into 2023.
Yep.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead and show this one. First I was like, I don't know if I'm going to do this.
All right.
Please don't say firecracker. It's very offensive. The term is fire Caucasian.
Fire Caucasian. There you go. Greg, you've been to the fire cracker.
I have been to the Cracker Festival there in Florida. I didn't intend to be at the Cracker Festival.
Yeah.
We just happened to be doing a 2A event at the same place where the Cracker Festival was being held.
Yeah, it was like a cat walking into a dog show. It was like, what the hell?
I could not. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I grew up. That was just a derogatory term that you use, and I did not realize it was an actual thing.
Yeah, no, in Florida, it's the Florida white boy cracker heritage. It's
Yes.
it's a real thing. You know.
Kind of like this guy's a real thing.
Oh,
Hey, man, you free this
love
weekend?
This guy. Wipes
This
away
guy.
a single tear.
By the way, just in case you guys are wondering, this was Mike about 20 years ago.
What do you mean 20 years ago? What are you saying?
Well, you know, you've
Oh, I see.
you were a
His
little
beard's a
slimmer
little
then.
darker than mine. I see. His beard's a little darker than mine. Okay, I get it.
Yeah,
All right,
there
I
you
get
go.
it. Yeah.
Wipes, I'm free. Wipes a single tear. I'm free every weekend.
Yep. Very much.
Okay,
so.
let's see if I got any more here worth. Oh, okay, yeah, gotta do this one. Go ahead. You can go ahead and read
Yeah,
this
the
one,
date's
sir.
a little off. The date's a little off. So this should really say 246 years ago, Britain said, "You can't just say independence and expect anything to happen." In America, and it's Michael Scott sitting behind a desk. He says, "I didn't say it. I declared it."
Yes, that was true. That's exactly how it
So if
happened.
you declare
I
it,
was
it's
there.
done. There's
right.
no, you don't get to argue back. I declared it. You could send troops if you want, but we're not having a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I made the declaration. So
This is epic
this
right
is our
here.
favorite. This is our favorite. This is our favorite.
So it's basically
Craig,
you've
you
got
describe
George
it.
Washington. I don't know. Is that supposed to be Cornwallis? He's about to do like a what wrestling move is that? You know, when he gets
That's the over the head suplex neck breaker, right? Isn't
there,
that
you go. That's what it is. That's what it sounds like. He's about to do that to, I guess, Cornwallis. And it says, "This is how we Americans believe Independence Day went down." Because it did. I mean, this actually happened.
This is exactly what happened right here.
That's exactly how it went down. Folks, if you are just listening and not watching, you are really missing out, because this one is also a very good one. England, we're going to need you to pay more taxes on this tea. Colonists, we're going to need you to suck our star-spangled ding-dongs.
That's it. And in the center of this, it has a box of Hostess Star Spangled Ding Dongs. So it's
I did not know that those things existed.
Ding Dongs. Oh my God!
I knew
Ding
ding-dongs existed. I just didn't know
yeah.
that star-spangled ding-dongs existed.
Oh yeah, they come out about the 4th every year. Yeah, Star Spangled Ding Dongs. Yep.
Okay. And I can't believe we actually have to remind people of this one. I mean, come on now. It's like putting out cookies and milk for Santa, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's obvious. You have to remember to leave Budweiser and a rifle out for Kid Rock on the 3rd of July, because if you don't, he won't bring you any fireworks.
Won't bring any fireworks. Yeah, that's it. That's it. You got to leave them out for Kid Rock, otherwise you don't get any fireworks. That's all.
Exactly.
I mean, I thought every kid knew that. You know.
Exactly. So, folks, hey, that's gonna be it, man. We're done for the day. That's gonna be it. But wait. We still have to do a quick shout out to our sponsors, Mike.
Woo! Guerrilla Machining, Grid Defense, California Republican Assembly, US Combat Gear.com.
Yeah, folks, make sure, look, the links to all of their websites are in the description to this video or this podcast. Please make sure to go there. Please make sure, if you like what you see there, to spend some money with them, and tell them that the guys over at the Rundown sent you. Please make sure to do that. And whatever you do, make sure you, once again, like, share, subscribe. Encourage your friends to do the same. And join us tomorrow for Thirsty Thursday.